Well, good evening, folks. We tried this a little early tonight. You want a treat? Hello, Jane Break. Mr. Brian Becky. Hello, Bree. The waterfall girl. Amanda, good evening. Well, how y'all doing tonight? Some hot dogs. Hello, Mo Bank. I'm sort of spastic. You can't ever tell about me, Sam. Damn bugger. Hey, Cookie, how you doing, buddy? You talking about cooking them wings? I'm gonna try some of them quail tomorrow. I'm gonna fry some of them, see if I like them still. Uh-oh. Hello, Mr. Badge. Well, we're gonna get a treat tonight. Bree promised she'd come up on live. And Bree said she was gonna come up. Hello, Cruising. I ain't going there, Bree. Seriously, if anybody wants to come up, there's a link. Come on up here. You talking about me or your cat? Hello, Diane. How you doing, girl? Well, Bree just totally ignoring the hell out of me. Come on, Badge. They won't see your pretty face. You might as well get up here too. Hey,
What the hell's going on?
I
Oh,
don't know.
I'm in the wrong chat, I think. Oh, I got to turn my phone. I keep forgetting about that. There we go. Now we're almost figured it out. How the hell's it going, Ron?
Oh, doing good, man.
That's good. Yeah, we made it home yesterday and everything's good. Didn't maim or kill anybody on the way, so that's good.
Yeah, it take you a while to get settled in.
Yeah, about 2 hours.
Hello,
I'm ready to
Ray.
go back on the road already.
You getting the hitch already, huh?
Just, oh, we had to take the water out because it got too damn. It's getting cold here tonight, so for the next couple of days, it's going to go down like 20 or something. So I guess you better take the water out so we don't freeze up the trailer. So you know how it is. But yeah.
Well, I tell you, it's funny when I go on a trip like that. I'm glad to get home for about an hour, and then it's like, where am I going next?
Well, the thing is that we've been on the road for holy shit, what is it, 7 years now? So I don't know. It's not. I know a lot of people make it a big deal to come home, but it's you got your home behind your truck, so you don't really make it a big deal, right? So I don't know. That's just me, though. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it gets that. The longer you stay in a trailer, the more it gets that way.
Well, people just when people ask the story, they just say, "Are you friggin' kidding?" Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. I'm telling you the truth. We bought a house and we pull the trailer beside the house and we live in the trailer because we like the trailer. It's comfortable. And we know where everything is. We don't have to fight for nothing or anything, right? So, yeah, but yeah,
I know. I know just what you're talking about.
exactly. You know, but unless you're a hobo or a nomad, you don't understand it. So I don't even explain it anymore because people, they just don't get it. People just don't get it. They're not stupid or nothing. They just don't get it because unless you do it, like I know the BOB gets on there and says, "Oh yeah, well, I'll do it," and everybody can do it. Well, not everybody can do it, but a lot of people are really good at it, like some of us, and it's just what we do, and it's not a big deal. You know, like
Well,
I don't, I
I've
don't,
been. I'm,
I don't think of it any different. Like everybody's getting this nomad hobo system. Well, I've been at this for 30 years, so it wasn't a hobo or nomad system. It was just buy a trailer, live in the damn thing, save money, and life goes on. But now it's a hobo nomad thing. So you have to, oh, are you a hobo? No. Are you a nomad? No, I'm not. I just live in a trailer. You know, I live a normal life in a trailer. Well, that's not normal life. Well, it just depends what you decide is normal. I say it's normal. you know,
normal for you.
exactly.
Oh
You know,
Lord. Well, I'm about the same way. I moved into this trailer, and it was pretty new then. I think uh, this trailer. I had one trailer before this, and then the that I was living in. But this one I moved in 2008, and I've been full time in the trailer ever since.
now,
And periodically now I'll go in and tear the hell out of it and redo it like I want it. I just got through redoing a bunch of stuff on the inside of it, and I can't afford to change trailers because it wouldn't be like I wanted it.
now, this is the question. and you're not on the BOB's channel or Blind Views or anybody's channel. Now, if somebody come up and said, I'll give you a brand new house wherever you want it, would you move into it? And what would the answer be?
You really want to know what the answer would be? I
Yeah,
say, hell, yeah. And then I'd sell that some bitch and buy me a travel trailer.
exactly my point. And that's why people can't get that. They can't get that through their head. These stupid bastards will sit in a trailer and live in there, and they won't take a house. Uh, you know the thing about a trail, the biggest thing different between a trailer and a house is if the neighbor pisses you off, you hook it up and poof, down the road. You can't do that with a house.
Well,
So,
no, I'll go further than that. I'll rent a place by the year, and that way I can leave and come back whatever I want to. You know, the hookups are for the trailer, and I've got a storage building on it. It's not mine. You know, I'll rent it, but that's like $400 a month. Well, hell, I couldn't pay my utility bills on that
no,
damn brick house I had for that,
no,
and I ain't never lived this cheap in my life.
no. And the thing is, and this sounds really crazy, but there's a lot of people on this channel that'll understand it because there are a lot of them are in the same boat. Is that we'll go and we live in Vegreville, Alberta, Canada, and we drive all the way down to 20. Well, it's 1,500 miles down to Blythe, California for the wintertime. And when you pull in there, it just feels like you just pulled in home.
Yeah,
That's that's how funny it is, you know, because we always go to Blythe or Ehrenberg or Park or somewhere around there because we like that area. Everybody says I'm crazy, but yeah, we know that. But the thing is that that place, we like that place. So you just keep going back there. It's like a comfort, like your little blankie that you drug around when you were a kid. You always
yeah.
had your blankie. It wasn't right to have it, but you did it anyway. And the thing is you go back to Blythe, you know all the people there, and it's just fine. It's I don't know. I find it like for me to drive 1,500 miles to Blythe and camp the summer or the winter. It's not a big deal. I think it's like going home.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
it's a crazy thing.
the one that gets me is that you'll read on these people and they'll have a breakdown, something to go wrong with their trailer, and even if they can't fix it, well, hell, you got breakdowns in your house. Go put a roof on your house and spend
Same
five, six
thing.
$1,000. Same difference.
It's the same difference. It's there's no difference. It doesn't matter if it's a trailer. I'm just trying to move my camera around so I don't have to hold it anymore. There we go. But it's the same thing. You know, it's just the same thing. And people just don't understand it. And the thing about it is, it's not that people don't understand it. The biggest thing is that people don't want to understand it. Well, what do you mean? I don't have to pay $1,800 a month and $600 for hydro and $200 for water and gas. No, you don't. You move into a trailer, you don't have to make them payments. And the thing is that, and what I say to, I don't even try to talk myself out of it or talk people into it. I don't care if they ever get into it. I really don't, because the only reason I'm doing it is for me, and it's not for the other people. I don't really care if you get into it. Don't really get into it because then I have to share the land with you, and I don't want to do that. But the thing is that when you go and you live like you take 30 years. Now I've never, except for this place here. Well, we really don't even live in this one. We just sort of come by and stall for a while and put some stuff in, but we don't really. I don't know. I can't say I really live in it. But the thing is, when you live off the land basically for 30 years and then you go to try to move into a house, your life's screwed because you can't do it. You'll
Yeah,
go do it for a month and then you'll just get the hell out of it.
you found out that last year, didn't you?
What's that?
About moving back into a house.
No, it's just, I don't know. Like, even me and Al, we were down in the south this for the first time in 3 years. And we went back down, and we were forced into staying because of that other crap that went on. And the thing about it is that when you're on the road and you meet people like yourself and Carolyn and the Ramblers and Jim and Deb and Wonder Boom and Gina and all them people, and you go back there and visit them. They're like family to you. And like I know where Blind Views is coming from. Like some of them are cutthroat, but there is some people out there that are like family, and you get to know them like they're your family. And the good thing about it is that, and the people that live in houses, I want to, you just remember, I'm going to tell you one little point. The difference between a house and a trailer is when I'm living in Blythe, in the trailer, I know everybody in that lot. And when you're living in a house, you don't even know the next door neighbor. Everybody in that campground knows you. And they know your trailer, they know your dogs, they know everything. And nobody messes with this stuff because they know, well, that's not Badge. What the hell are they doing over there? And everybody watches out for everybody. Like Mike and Paula were sitting up in the hill from Missouri. They watched over everything. Anybody come in, oh, where are you going? Well,
It's
no
fun.
worries. Oh, okay. You know, so.
It's sort of like going to the army. Uh, Hello, old Miss Box Man D. How you doing, gal? It's like going to the army. Everybody's on a level playing field.
Exactly.
You
And
know,
it's
it's
like,
not this gated community and that one and this HOA and
when you get into it and people say, well, like I'm not for 1 minute going to say it's all roses and, unicorns and unicorn farts and everything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it is a really good, like take for instance, I don't even know the chat, but I heard you say it. But you take it. Take for instance this. Just think about this. You're trying to outrun the snow. Now just think about this. Now I know Jane Bray is because she's in Alberta now. Is you trying to outrun the snow. So you drive 1,500 miles to Ehrenberg or Quartzsite. They're all on the same, they're all 1,500 miles. Or Blythe. And then you get to go and say, hey, D, you want to go for a pizza? Like, come on. Like, really? That's like dying and going to heaven. Like, really. And, it's just, that's the stuff you get around. You know, it's just the stuff you get. You get to know people and it's not like, I'm not saying it's all unicorn farts and everything. I'm just not saying that. I'm saying that it's kind of a close net because you start out with everybody on the same playing field, right?
I got a question.
Yep.
That's the first time I ever heard unicorn farts. Where did you pick that up at?
Neil. That's Neil. No
Neil?
legs, no problem. Yeah, that's
Oh,
Neil.
okay.
He bought a shirt for L because when I remember, was it 3 years ago, I had to go to Colorado to pick up uh, Robin in her fifth wheel trailer. Well, Neil and Bob were stayed back with L in Blythe, right? And they had this code. Okay, the unicorn's clear. Okay, the unicorn's clear. And they went on like this for 2 days, so it was quite funny. So that's where the unicorn farts come from.
That was a new one. I never had heard that one.
But it's just, like I'm not saying everybody should go out and do it, but what I do say is if you're having a hard time trying to make it ends meet, is keep your day job because really when it comes down to it, people don't give a shit where you live. And I did it for 6 years. I pulled the trailer in the parking lot at work and just left it there. You don't have it like the homeless people with junk all around it. It looks like a trailer parked in the yard. Nobody knows if somebody's living in there because they all go home at 6 o'clock. They don't know. You just go in there and if you stay under the radar, they don't know. Like it's just I don't know. I've done it since 1994. I've done it, and I would never do it any other way. You know, but
Well, I did it for about really lived on the road when I was pulling them trailers. I put a cab over camper on my truck and just pull bumper pull. And so I've been all over the place. And that company I worked for, they wanted you to hit about 500 a day going out, but you didn't have to be back and check in for 2 weeks. So hell, I've been at just nearly every national park in the United States.
You think about it, Ron. When you were
Oh,
pulling trailers, the same time we were pulling trailers together. And it's the same thing. Like the only difference between pulling trailers and living on the road is that you have an address where you're living. Where
yeah,
on the road you don't. And it's the same thing. You're always on the road, so why the hell have a place to live? And if
yeah,
and the thing I always tell people, I said, just think of this. I says, what if you had the opportunity to get rid of your $1,200 or $900 or $800 rental fee? What the hell could you do with your life? You can do a lot of shit. Believe
oh,
me, you
well,
can, and you know.
and the unexpected things that come up in a house. Right before I moved out of that sticks and bricks, I had a grandson over there. He was fooling with a bow, and he shot the unit on the outside on the central heat and air,
Oh,
and let all the gas out of it. Well,
yeah,
it had the old gas in it, the R12.
yeah.
So it was going to cost $8,000 to just replace that one unit. You
Yeah.
do a lot of work to a trailer for $8,000.
Like it don't matter if it's six or bricks. You got the same stuff. You
Right.
go and you got your house and you got to change, put a roof on it. You got your trailer. You go and you hit it with a stick and you have to replace the roof on it. It's the same thing. You got the plumbing and it freezes up or it breaks or the hot water tank breaks or the stove breaks or anything. The only reason they glorify it is because people buy it and they think that this stuff is like, you got to remember that when you're buying an RV, you have to remember that the RV manufacturers, and Ron will vouch for this one, they're vouching and backing that you buy that trailer and use it for 2 weeks a year. That's what they're built for. 2 weeks a year, not living in them full time. They're not made for that. I'm not saying you can't do it because I've done it, but that's what you got to remember. And we've been very lucky with this one. It hasn't given us hardly any problems at all. But there's a lot of people that every time they turn around and um, they have a problem. But like, um, there's a lot of people out there that shouldn't be out there because they don't have the money or the backup. You got to have a backup because with a house, you it's the same thing with a house. You have to have backup. If the hot water tank, you got to go out. And like Blindview's hit it the other day is that it doesn't matter if it's a house or a trailer. It's the same. A hot water tank goes out, or a stove goes out. It's all the same thing. It's just how you deal with it. That's all. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
And nowadays it's not even any cheaper because your stove goes out in the house $1,000 and $1,000 for a stove in a RV. Is the one
Yeah,
in the RV as good as the one in the house? Not likely, but that's what it costs.
John, I told you a long time ago, you sure welcome in chat, but not up on screen. The and the other thing you don't have to do, you don't have to spend $1,000 for a lawnmower to mow your grass, or spend a bunch of money on a
No, and that's the thing. Like
taxes the same way.
especially getting up in our age, the last thing you want to do is come home and cut the grass. Or like I hate cutting. I don't like cutting grass, and I don't like plowing snow. I just don't do it. That's why I go to Arizona because I don't. I went down there all winter, December 15th till the other day, and I never found an ounce of snow I had to shovel. Not one friggin' ounce.
The
You
first
know?
time I went up to pull them trailers, somebody handed me a snow shovel, and I said, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
I never had seen one.
No. Like, why would you? Like, I don't know. It's just a different way of looking at things. It's just like um, the best way I put it is this: is that people say, "Well, I can't do the RV thing," and you do the house thing. I said, okay, it's like this. You go and play golf. I love golf. Well, then you go play it. I hate golf. I'll go drag racing. It's the same thing. Some people like playing golf. Some people like drag racing. So some people like living in houses. Some like living on the road, you know. And the good thing about living on the road is you have a lot more money to play with as long as the stuff don't break down, you know.
Well, and me and you have got an advantage because I'm not as good a mechanic as you are. But if something breaks, I can usually fix it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. But my question to that, Ron, is people aren't mechanics. And how many people are riding around with stuff that's broken and they don't know it?
oh yeah, that's true.
You
That
know,
I said something to Roy about I might throw a welder in and just bring it out there to Arizona when I come out there. He said, "Oh, you stay busy." Well, he changed my mind right then. I don't,
yeah,
I don't want to open a business back up.
no. Now I did this last year. This is the last one for the. Now I'm pulling all the stuff out of the truck, and I'm not doing the fixing stuff anymore. I'm gonna
Oh,
retire.
bullshit.
Oh yeah, you watch and see. You watch and see, buddy. No, it's just I don't know. Christ only had 7 days off all winter. You
Well,
know,
you got too popular on doing that kind of stuff. Well, yeah,
like, and you're right. The thing is that, but still, the thing is I still love doing this shit after 60 years, which not very many people can work for 60 years and still like doing what they do. So, that's a big deal. But yeah, we'll slow it down a bit. Sit in the
well,
lawn chair for two.
it can. They can work you to death if you do it. We were talking about that grass a while ago. There's something wrong with you. These people that go build a $300,000 home, a half million
Work
dollar home, or
work
whatever,
for it.
and then they'll spend $5,000 laying grass, and
Yeah,
they'll water it and fertilize it and baby it, and then they cut the damn thing. Now, there's something wrong with that.
they're buying themselves a job, is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I'm out of that stuff now. I've been out of it so long that cutting grass and plowing snow and it's just not. It's not. I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying I don't want to do it anymore. So I'll just pull the trailer around and go camping. That's and save a ton of money. Holy shit! We drove back from Arizona, $850.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good, I thought.
Yeah. A few months ago, that would have been cheap as hell, wouldn't it?
What's that?
I said a few months ago, that would have been,
Cheaper, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But you know, like the thing about it is that everybody goes on about, well, you're getting 10 miles a gallon or 7 miles a gallon with your RV. That's the only expense we have besides food. That's it. Like we don't have no hydro, we don't have no power, we don't have no water bills or to say, well, you got to buy water. You know what it cost me for water all year, all December? It cost me what was it, $45 for the whole season, and we use roughly about 10 gallons a day. So do the math. Yeah.
Yeah. And people don't realize something else too. And there's a good example of it right here. Look at me in the face. And Miss D, Miss D did it in a car and on what, $500 a month or something like that when she first started off.
A lot
And
of them do it.
yeah, a lot of them.
Like
And
a lot of people start out in car. I can't do it, but a lot of people do. Like that's why me and Nell talked about this for a long time because we were thinking of going to smaller and smaller because he got that great big truck and trailer. But it's just that you get so damn used to that trailer, and with two dogs, it gives you that extra room, and we're just gonna keep it and run it into the ground. Basically, that's all we're gonna do. It's all paid for.
I'm looking at another running trailer, and what they did, I've got this cab over, but with that knee messed up of mine, I don't like having to climb up and down in that bed.
That would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but they're building a little old trailer now, a little small trailer that's laid out just like that cab over. It was flat. In other
Yeah,
words, it didn't step up
yeah,
in,
yeah.
and that little old trailer has got everything in it you want. I
Yeah.
mean, a
See, and that's
dry
the thing.
bath, shower,
Like,
and and doesn't weigh much. And I'm seriously thinking about doing some trading around and winding up with that little trailer just to run in.
yeah,
Leave his big trailer here, and of course it ain't nothing but me and Rocky. So
yeah. Like you take it. Like if there was only me and Al, we could go down to a 16 or 17 foot, or like Jane Bray, they got that 19 foot now, 17 or 19 foot um, Taylor coach, and that's all you need. But the thing is that with the two dogs and the other thing too is that when you get our age, the last thing they want to do is borrow money. If you don't have money to buy a trailer, is to borrow money. So this thing's all paid for. So you just want to keep it because after it's paid for, it really doesn't. It all it does is cost you maintenance. You don't have to pay everything every month, right? So that's the thing. You gotta just think it out. Like and starting out, there's a lot of people that start out in cars, and a lot of people like it. Like, look at Mobang. He's in that little van. He loves the thing. Or Marshall, they're in that. They're in the little vans. They love it.
yeah, well,
You know.
you take Maddie and
Yeah.
Amanda and
Yeah.
the you gotta. We were talking about motorcycles in Avis a while ago, and I've owned a bunch of different motorcycles, but it changes on what you want, and what fits you don't fit everybody else.
No. And that's the thing. And that's what they're trying to do with this hobo nomad shit is try to make everybody a hobo and nomad. Well, not everybody wants to be a hobo and a nomad. They don't want to do it. And you shouldn't have to you shouldn't force that stuff on people. If they want to do it, let them do it. If they don't, no big deal. And it's not a big deal if people want to live in a house. Well, just because you live in the house, they call you all kinds of crap, but that's what people want to do, live in a house. Some people are quite comfortable living in a house. They have no ambition, or that's not ambition, I'm saying. They just don't want to go outside and do stuff. They'd rather sit at home, watch YouTube. What's the matter with that? Who the
Yeah,
hell is everybody the big judge of?
yeah.
Let them
That
sit at home, watch YouTube. Who cares?
well, and they're talking about the mileage and the deal. Mileage is important, but something else that we haven't mentioned. If you don't want to spend a bunch of money on gas this month, well, don't run
You
five
don't
thousand.
have to. We do it all the time.
Yeah,
Like it costs us on the average about 7.5 to 9 miles a gallon to pull the trailer. So we'll start in the 15th of the month, and we'll have enough money to 2 or 3 tanks of gas. We'll drive. And then when we run out of gas money, we park. And then at the end of the month, they get more money and they just keep moving. Because really, when you're retired, where the hell do you have to be? Nowhere. So
that's right.
why get on the interstate and pound yourself down the road at 65 miles an hour? I
Well, I
refuse to
tell you
do.
something else. These travel trailers, you got to be, you got to like yourself. You got to. There's going to be times you're not around people, and if you don't like yourself, well, you can't get along in one. You go crazy. People talk
That's
about
right.
getting along, and but you
Like
do the damn thing in a house.
like everything goes on. We joke about it all the time. I'm just a grumpy old introvert that doesn't like people. That's not the case at all. It's just that you have to, like you said, you have to be able to get along with yourself. So if you're out camping by yourself, you're all right with it because there's nobody else there, which is kind of nice, really. But you know what I mean?
Well, that's why I leased this place I'm at. It's on 17 acres, and I'm the only one on it. And that up at the front of this place, for my buddy's got his house and stuff. But I'm out there by myself, so I enjoy that. I enjoy people too, but
Yeah, you enjoy people, but it's just that people got this perception that you're living in a trailer out in the desert by yourself, so you got to be an introvert. Well, that's not true at all. But if that's what you want to believe, go for it. But it's just I don't know. It's just a lot of people put a lot of stuff on it. Like the funny thing about it is you go through these videos, these live feeds, and they'll start talking about hobos and nomads and well, you should do it and you shouldn't do it, and see the excuses that people come up with.
yeah.
The moon's not quite exactly right, and the sun comes onto my slide the wrong way, and it just freaks me out. What the hell's that got to do with living in a trailer? But okay, whatever. But yeah. But see, the thing is that the worst thing that could possibly happen is people find out and say, and this is what I tell people, just say for 1 minute that what could I do with my rent money? 9, 8, 1,000, 1,200, $1,300, whatever. What could you do if you didn't have to pay that every month? Just think of that.
Well, and that's something else too. They got the payments on these RVs down so low
Exactly.
now. It's
We
unreal.
got them down. When we bought the V Light, we were paying 189 a month.
Yeah.
Like, give me a friggin' break. Well, the bunkie that Bob, the BOB in California bought, the payment was 89 a month.
Yeah.
That's half the people's coffee fund for the month.
That's right.
$89 is and you're paying $239 for our big one, right? $269 a month, and you're living like a king. You got a shower, you got a bathroom, you got a stove, you got a fridge, you got a place to sit down and eat, you got a bed, you got it all, and air conditioning.
Well, I guarantee you, I've enjoyed it. I'll never go back to a house. Like,
No, we bought a house, but that was more for investment of anything. So that the government wouldn't keep taking the tax money, but it's just an investment. Like if we talked about it, and if we had to come back and move into the house, we'd seriously think about it. We'd have to seriously think about it. It's not like most people living in a house. Like, um, just for an instance, because people can relate to that. Say you're drinking beer every day for 10 years, and then all of a sudden somebody says, oh, you can't drink beer anymore. What would you do? You'd freak out and go nuts, right? Well, that's the same thing.
yeah.
You're living in a trailer, and all of a sudden, well, you got to move into a house. Well, why? Well, because that's what people think you should do. You should live in a house or go to an old folks home. Could you imagine this son of a bitch in an old folks home? Christ, they kicked me out the first day. But no, it's just I don't know. I think like we got a thing where we're going to do this for a minimum of 5 years right now. Another 5 years for sure. That'll put us up to what 74, 75.
You know, say I still got some years on you. I'm 77 right now,
There you go.
and so
But I
and
don't know. It's just I just what I really hope is that I don't have to go to an old age home. That's I really do hope that, and that if something happens, Al just goes in there and kicks me out, and they bury me in the desert, and life goes on. That's the way, you know. That's the way it is.
hell, fairy dust. I'm sort of like that. I'll stick around the house for a little while and get some stuff done. Not the house, but my trailer. That's my house, and then like redoing the inside this trailer, it was nice to have a table saw and nail gun and that kind of stuff. You know, you could. I've got some tools and stuff that I've kept. I keep in storage, and I'll come back here and do a project, and then boy, I'll get the itch that I got to go. The but I guess small places don't bother me too bad. Hell, when I was in the army, there were two of us lived in a damn 8 by 8 cubicle. So
No, it's just I don't know. It's just I don't know. See, the big thing is that when we grow up, it's not that way now. But when we grew up, it was the American dream. You get a house, get a car, get married, have 1.5 kids, and you have a boat and a lot and all that crap, right? And then you sit there and think, well, what the hell did I do all that for? But that's what it's all keyed up to, is that, right? There was no saying when we were growing up, oh, well, you buy an RV and live in it and take all your money and put it in the pillow. Well, nobody told us that, but you have to find out the hard way now.
well, I've often said that it's a good thing I don't know what I know now when I was 18, because I'd have been the sorriest sucker that ever walked on 2 feet. But just you you don't have to play that game. My son and me got into it pretty good when he was in high school. His teachers were telling him, "So you got to have the next 15 years planned out. What college you're going to and blah 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 blah." I told him, I said, "Man, it don't work that way. First thing, you got to be flexible, roll with the punches. The second thing, going to college ain't what it used to be. Now, when I was got out of school, my college education meant something. Now it
Yeah,
means you're gonna be in debt $200,000.
you know, and and that's the thing. Like the thing about being in a trailer um, or an RV is that you don't have debt, and that's a big thing when you don't have debt. Like that when you don't have debt, it changes it a whole bunch, and that's
Yeah,
why I don't really like the idea of these kids getting into these pro masters and all that shit now because they're so damn expensive and they're not nowhere near as worth as much as they say they are. But that's what they want. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's something I wouldn't do. I wouldn't get into that major debt thing. But when you get out and when you take the debt away from it, just like you try to tell people how much money do you need to live on. Well, they add in the rent and they add it. Oh, no, no, no. I says, how much does it cost you to live on? Like really? What? Maybe $400 a month, $500 a month for food. If you had everything else like a trailer or something, and you had $500, like I know thousands that are living this life, and they are doing what we call it lazy work, but now it's the norm. Is that they only work 2 days a week because they don't need to work any more than that. Could you imagine us, Ron, back if we knew this shit when we were young? And only we could do 2 days a week instead of pounding up and down the road for 7 days hauling trailers. Like, come
yeah.
on.
Oh yeah, or 70, 80 hours pushing a welding machine.
Exactly. When you start mumbling 80 hours to somebody, like even up till um, I retired, 2 years before I retired, I was working 80 to 95 hours a week because that's what the job was.
Yeah,
And when you're working that kind of money, you think about that. You're working 85 to 95 hours a week living in an RV. What enough are you going to do with the money?
that's what I'm saying. If I'd have known this when I was 18, I would have been sorry. Woo. And I made good money, you know.
I
And
did too. Like everybody says, well, why in the hell would you buy that kind of like that? When I started, like Jimmy, my brother, James Scott, I gave it all to him. But when I got out of it, like you seen the back of my truck, and that truck is loaded right to the nines, and that is nothing. I had $167,000 worth of tools when I quit,
Oh
when
yeah.
I retired. And it's just when you're, of course, I had every possible tool you could have because I didn't have no expenses. I didn't have to pay rent, didn't have to pay power, didn't have to pay gas, didn't have to pay taxes, didn't pay nothing. And you get all that money. Should have had 5 race cars at one time because you want to do something, you spend your money on stupid shit, right? So that's what you do. But it's when you live in a house, if I lived in a house or rented an apartment, I would never been able to do that. So never in a million years, never even think about it.
Yeah.
But when you're living in an RV, it makes it a whole lot easier.
That's right.
But like an RV or a house, it's the same thing. You have to fix the roof, you have to fix the walls, you have to fix all that stuff and paint the inside or paint the outside or whatever. You have to do all that stuff. Like it's not going to stay new forever. It's not.
If
Like
I
even our trailer outside, it's what a 15, and I got to pull all the floors out and redo them all because they're gone to hell. Because you know, if you take an RV that's made for 2 weeks a year, and you put 165,000 miles on it, stuff's going to wear out.
well, I guarantee you, if I could just get rid of everything I had and start over tomorrow, it would be about oh, probably an 8.5 by 28 cargo trailer, and I'd build up it would be a tiny home in that house.
I lived in an um, 18 foot RV for almost 10 years. And I didn't owe nothing on the trailer. I owned the trailer, so I never had no payments, none whatsoever.
You know?
Buy propane and put a little bit of water in it, which mostly the water you can, if you're working anywhere, you can get the water because you want to use a little bit a day. Just get the water, and it's just free. It's just, well, it's not free living, but it's damn close. But you
But
know
what
they
people get,
they put all this glorified crap on it now, saying, "Oh, it's all rainbows and unicorn farts," and it's not. But
uh,
it's livable and it's doable and it's easier to do that way. But a lot of people can't do it. A lot of people just
but
won't
you,
do it.
you got different folks for different strokes. I had a brother that was one of the smartest men I ever met in my life, and
Yeah,
he could sell an ice maker to an Eskimo. I guarantee you.
yeah,
And he never had a damn thing. And the reason he didn't, because he loved living in Houston, Texas, or Dallas, Texas, or he loved them old big towns. And
yeah,
he made 3 times as much money as I did, and was broke
yeah.
all. And it was just, you know, overhead's the secret to it.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Is like it's not like I don't really like the way the BOB and that pushes it, saying everybody can do it. I don't really agree with that idea. The the thing is that it's a cheap way to live, and it's just inexpensive way to live, and that's basically what it boils down. It's got nothing to do with being right or wrong or whatever, you know.
Don't you know a lot of these folks in these tent cities would just like to have an 18-foot travel trailer?
Yeah, an
You know,
18 foot is 18 foot. That 18 foot, I still love that 18 foot. I was talking to Elle about the other day. If we had to go to a smaller trailer, it'd probably be an 18 foot because that's a that was a nice. And I didn't even know it was behind there. I don't even remember. Like this one here, when I put the on the truck, I lose about 3 miles a gallon. But that one, I never even noticed it. Even with the bunkie, I never noticed it. So
when I had that casita, though, and was traveling in it, you didn't. I mean, you didn't even know it was behind you.
no, that's the same thing with the bunkie. We didn't know it was behind there either. We pulled it
Yeah,
all over hell and back. We pulled it in Salt Lake City and all over.
that's right, Jim. There's Jim right there.
There you go. Jimmy's knows. Jimmy's got he got Bob Billy's old trailer, so he's living in a trailer now too.
The there's a Julian. That was why sort of why I started my channel, bad. As I got to reading all this stuff and looking at the people like Bob and Bob. My deal on Bob is everybody can't do that, and I don't agree with everything he does, but he's put a lot of good stuff out there about reviewing stuff and stuff like that that's helped a lot of people.
Oh yeah, like
And
everybody picks
I have
on him,
I don't
but
have trouble with him is making money and all that kind of stuff. That's
yeah,
that's just the
that's
way it
just the way.
is. Uh,
Like
I don't watch him much anymore. So
like the thing with the BLB, I don't have a problem with the BLB either because that's just the way he is, and I know Bob, so it's I know exactly how he is. And the thing is that he put a lot of information out there that helped a lot of people when it first started up. And he brought in the Howa thing, which helps a lot of people. And like I've never, and everybody gets on my case about, well, Bob, and you don't go to the RTR. No, the RTR is not for me. The RTR is for people that just get into it and don't know how to do it. That's what the RTR is for, to teach you how to be a rubber tramp rendezvous. That's what it's made for. Not for guys that've been at it for 30 years. That's not what it's made for YouTubers to go make a video. That's not what it's made for. It's made for people that want to get into it and don't know how to do it. That's what it's for.
well, and everybody's got to make their own choice. The We change and everything else changes, but and the thing that
Yeah.
cracked me up, like BB,
Yeah, I would.
he talks about the BLM land and stuff and not paying taxes on it. Hey, we all pay taxes on it, have all our lives. If we're using it or not using it, it don't make no difference. You're still gonna pay the same amount. And I imagine they make a few bucks off of LTVs and stuff on the BLMs.
Yeah, but they have to. You know, like that's the thing. That's the only thing that really gets me going about the difference between Canada and the States is like in Canada, it's all crown land and it's owned by the king now or the queen in England. They own all the crown land, right? So, but down in the States, it's all public land. And the problem with the public land is that Joe Public thinks he owns it, so he can do whatever he wants. And that's not the way it should be. I
Right.
agree with Joe Public owning it, but I don't believe that Joe Public should beat the living daylights out of it. And case in point is we haven't been down there for 3 years, and we went down this year, and every campground we stopped at had garbage on it, and that is not right. I am sorry. I'm not buying it. I don't want to hear the stories. There should never be garbage on anything.
No,
And
that's right.
anytime somebody said, well, all you're doing is covering it up. The deal is, and they're shutting some pretty nice stuff. They're not shutting the shitty campgrounds. They're shutting the really good stuff, like Cottonwood. Cottonwood was probably in the top 10 for campgrounds, and they shut it down. And they're going to shut down more because the people are like, it's a very easy program. Bring it in and bring it out. How hard is that? Like I've been doing it for 30 years. Why can't they? So I don't know. I like the idea of the public land, but I don't like the idea of Joe Public thinking he can do whatever he wants to it. I don't like that idea.
You've got people like that and everything.
Of course you do. We got it up here in Canada. We got the same problem up here in Canada with the Crown land. Because these idiots up here think they own it. Well, they don't own it. The Crown owns it. So But we still have the same problem with garbage because
Eh,
people are too narrow-minded to know that they take a candy wrapper in there, they have to bring the candy wrapper out, and they don't want to do that. Well, why should I? I'm entitled to it. I don't want to do that. Where the hell's the garbage can? So, yeah.
Yeah, that's just the way you were raised too. You know.
No, I always thought that was true, Ron. I don't think so. I think it's in the last ever since COVID, it's always been entitlement. Everybody thinks they're entitled to something. Like it's public land. I'm entitled to do I can go out there and do whatever I want. Well, that's not the case. But
No.
okay, I'm entitled to it.
Yeah.
That's the big thing is entitlement now. Everybody thinks they're entitled to everything. You're not entitled to shit. You're not entitled to nothing. You want to go out and camp, go out and camp, bring your garbage home. If you don't want to bring your garbage home, don't go camping.
That's right.
Simple program.
D,
Really.
you have a good night, gal. I appreciate you coming in.
But I don't know. It's we can sit here and go on about this for hours and this ain't gonna change nothing. Because the naysayers and that are the think that it's public land and it's theirs and they own it are never going to change. They're never going to change. They just think, no, I'm entitled to it.
Yeah, there are 3 or 4 YouTube channels I follow, and one thing that I like about all 3 of them, they all 3 got in common, is they pull into a camp spot and they do like I did when I used to hunt that country all the time. You leave it better than when you got there. You know,
Yeah.
they're cleaning trash up and hauling it off. They shouldn't have to,
No.
but
No, you
but
shouldn't.
if that gets to be the way if people start getting on their case about not doing that, well, it'll help a little bit. It'll never get 100%, but it'll help a
Like,
little bit.
we don't tell anybody nothing because I'm a firm believer that YouTube don't need to know what we do because it's none of their business. But like the other night, we go into Tabor, Alberta, to the Walmart, and everybody knows what's going on with Walmart. And the normal person would have said, "Screw it, I'm not doing it." But no, I grabbed a garbage bag and picked up garbage around where the trailer was because it was everywhere. Did I have to do it? No. Did I get paid for it? No. But I do a lot of stuff that I don't ask for, and there's no harm in it. I went and picked all that garbage up and threw it in the garbage, and nobody got hurt or killed. So it must have been a good thing.
Well, see, Badge, you're like I am. Even when I was running a business, there ain't no telling how much stuff I gave away. If it was just some little old something that I could, major to them, but I could do it in 4 or 5 minutes while I was talking to them and just give it to them.
Yeah.
And now it ain't like that, boy. If you walk in there and they touch the paint on your vehicle, they want, $500 to plug something
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
It's just a different deal. And there's still some old heads around, but I don't know. This country just changed up a lot.
The problem with most of this stuff that you're hearing on YouTube and all that stuff with the garbage and all, we're talking like maybe 5%,
Yeah,
maybe
probably.
of the bad peoples. That's all we're talking. We're not talking I'm not talking everybody by any means.
Well,
I'm just saying there's the odd one. And the problem is like you get a bag of apples and there's one apple and it's bad. You're going to throw the whole bag out just because of the one apple. And that's what it gets down to is that people are just candy coating everything and paintbrushing it and saying, well, there's one bad apple, so all the rest of them must be bad too. Well, that's not the case. Because even with the people we camp with all winter, over half of them will pick up a garbage bag and pick up garbage. Did they have to be told? No. So, look at Chrome for crying out loud. Chrome up in BC. He's in the same boat. They go in there and they have to pick up garbage. Does he cry and moan and say, send me money? No. He just does it and life goes on. Or Joseph, or even Jeffy Bear, when he was out there, he was doing it, picking up garbage. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying all the hobos and um, nomads are dropping this garbage. A lot of it is people just coming by.
Yeah, I do that kind of stuff because it makes me. I won't
It's
say.
something to do while you're standing out there with nobody around bugging you.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna say it makes me feel good, but I do it for me more than anybody else.
Yeah,
The,
because you can't stand the garbage.
yeah, and so it's a different ball game. It's just different. I tell you where I see the biggest trash. Anywhere I camp anymore is that there'll be a bunch of people come in there partying.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, there, it's the entitlement thing. Ah,
yeah,
shit. They got rangers around here. They can pick this garbage up. Like they come in. There was a thing in Alberta Crown Land organization that lived on Crown Land in Alberta, and they were a bunch of pigs. I wouldn't even associate with them, and they got a lot of like we don't have like we probably got more Crown Land that we can stay on, and you got more in Waco, Texas, than we do in Canada, because there's not that many places, and when they shut down a place like that, you don't when you only got a half a dozen places to go and they shut down a place because of garbage because the pigs can't pick it up. It makes a big difference. But
yeah.
them partiers coming in and making a mess of it, they don't give a rat shit. They'll just go somewhere else.
They've got where they're getting. I see some young people, and I don't agree with everything they're into, but I see some young people doing the same thing. So I can't say it's just young people or just old people. It
I think it's everybody. I don't think the age has anything to do with it. I think it's just a lot of people go out for the weekend and they just think it's an entitlement thing. Like I can do whatever I want out here, and you can't tell me shit because this is my land, and you know, like it's sickening. It's just sickening. Like some of the stuff, like even the stuff that happened in the wintertime, you just sit there and shake your head. Like a prime example is you go into Midland and there's stakes up there along the perimeter saying no camping past these signs. Yeah, it's BLM land, but there's stakes up there, no camping because the pass out sign, right? So this kid's up there camping like a half a mile in. So the camp host goes and talks to him and he just starts raging on him. I tell you, I can tell where this is my land. I can stay here. There's nothing you can do about it, yada, yada, yada. And no problem. He goes and phones the ranger, right? And that's what they think. They think that it's public land and they are entitled to whatever they think they are entitled to, when in fact they're not. But then the other thing about this is you keep your nose to the grindstone. You find out all kinds of nice, dicey stories.
yeah,
So they have a perimeter on a camp. I won't even say the campground. They have a perimeter on a BLM campground for that's where the perimeter is. So you stay in that perimeter and you camp. You can't go past there for safety reasons, right? So people go past there. So the person gets hurt. They have to take them and take them to the hospital. And then the camp host comes over and he says, well, if you would have filled out that sticker that you didn't have to pay for, you just had to put your name on it and sign it saying you were there, we would have brought a helicopter in and took you to the hospital. And that's some of the stuff you don't know because they don't say that stuff. But if you get hurt on a BLM land, they're obligated to help you. Where
yeah,
if you're out of the system, they're not.
yeah. Just some people can't follow the rules. Now, if you told them I had to camp in that area, they'd be camping somewhere else.
Yeah.
We were talking about the trailers a while ago. When I started this channel, my whole deal was that I kept reading all these channels where somebody was buying $100,000 trailer or $500,000 motorhome, or going full time. And there were a lot of people that wanted to go, but they just didn't think they could afford it.
Hmm.
And they don't realize that I can go buy a good tent and stay in Arizona and be comfortable in the wintertime.
Lots of people do it.
Yeah, or a cargo trailer, or a box truck.
Anything.
You can do it any kind of way in the world.
You don't need a flashy trailer to live in the desert.
And hopefully I helped a few people on that. And I've done a lot of tent camping, and I know how to set one up to where I'm comfortable. Plus, they've got them now where they got the ports on them for the air conditioner and the heater and
Oh yeah.
Everything.
No. It's kind of a crazy world though, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I tell you another thing that burns me. You got these tent cities in these big towns. Now they won't let them go in and build tiny houses or something like that. That's against the law. But and some of them people are just dope heads and they ain't gonna do no better. But there's some in there that's lost everything they had and they don't have no choice. And
yeah, but the thing is too is like a lot. I feel sorry for them people because, like I believe that a lot of them people are there for their own reasons, but they're not like hobos or nomads. They're homeless people. They're different. They're different people. Everybody says they're not. They're totally different. They, the thing about is, no, I shouldn't even get into it. But the thing is that they have nowhere to go. Like there's no, like you take places like San Francisco. It's got a tent city that's bigger than Waco, for crying out loud, and where are they going to go? They can't. There's nowhere to go. You can't rent a place for $200 or $300 or $400 that they're living on. You can't rent a place, and that's what. But the funny part about it is they go on about these places. If they just get their head out of their asshole and give them somewhere to go,
that's what.
That they can stay there and stay out of people's minds, nobody would give a shit because half them people that are living in them 10 cities are quite happy.
Yeah. There's some that are not. There's some that won't now. But I don't know. It's we got a crazy damn country right now. I was teasing Nate on his live about he was drinking Budweiser beer and putting makeup on. I was wondering if he's gonna make a commercial for Budweiser now.
Well, we were talking about that tonight. Everybody's making a big deal about it, and all these pickle commie bastards that are making millions of dollars. I'm not going to buy Bud. I'm not going to buy. Don't buy the goddamn beer. Go buy another one.
That
like
is
nobody's sitting there saying you have to buy the beer. Like, give me a break.
That's what cracked me up is that's happening. They're actually a beer sitting on the shelf and nobody buying it now.
Yeah.
And so that will straighten that company up faster than anything else will. You need to go read about it, Nate.
It's just crazy. Anyway,
I'm happier than a little bug in my little travel trailer. And I'm managing it all. And I'm like D. Here a while back, I got a damn flu or some kind of bug. And I got a damn inner ear infection, and I didn't realize it. I hopped up out of bed one night, and I was drunker than a monkey, man. And I went to grabbing hold of stuff, and if I'd have been in a house, I'd have busted my butt. But everything was close enough in that travel trailer that I get hold of something.
Exactly. like, I don't know. I think
It,
the problem is like me and Al were talking about is we take so much shit for granted. Like we hook the trailer to the truck, we hook it in, we have solar, we sit in the middle of a friggin' parking lot or in the middle of the desert somewhere, and we make our coffee. We with electric coffee machine. We do it. She does her hair. We make toast. We do all that stuff, and we just take way too much for granted. And we leave, and we go and drive into a place like Milk River, Alberta, and we dump the tanks for free because they got a free tank dump there. So we just take so much shit for granted that is out there that why not? And then plus we're not paying no rent.
yeah. Oh, he can't beat it. The But now there's some people can't live in a small area, and there's some people got to have roots. That they just, and it's not for them.
I'm
I
not
took
saying I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm just saying they should try it and see. Because if they ever found out that they could live in an 18-foot holiday trailer and not pay no rent, no taxes, no water, no sewer, no gas bill, it makes a big difference because 90% of people on this channel, if you take all that stuff that you're paying and just take it away, that's like probably close to 50% of your check that you get.
uh,
But but don't get me wrong, I'm not an expert.
Nate. It's a joke in here, but go read about what's going on, and then you'll understand why it's a joke. the Oh Lord, I tell you one thing. I got a real education on that kind of deal when I had a casita. That's the first time I went to the RTR, and well, the only time I stayed a day, and that was enough. And but anyway, I belonged to a chat group that was all casitas, and so I just put up that I was going out there. I was leaving this date and was going out. I wasn't gonna to lead anything, but I was headed out. If somebody wanted a caravan with me, well, that's fine. Well, I got 5 casita travel trailers for going out the same time. Well, we ran from here about 500 or 600 miles. We didn't quite get to El Paso and pulled in for the night. And the next morning, one of the gals come over and she just bought a brand new, the fanciest casita they made. And she said, "I'm going home." I said, "What's the matter?" I said, "You sick or something?" She said, "No." I said, "I am scared to death pulling this damn trailer. Every time she hit a bump, well, it just drive her up the wall." And she turned right back around and went home and sold that trailer within just a few days.
I heard that a lot.
And then we had some other people that another couple that they had bought a new one, and they were going crazy because that casita was too small for them for 2 people. They were
Well,
used to a big house. Now there were 5 trailers, and that's 2 out of 5 that didn't belong in them trailers.
no, and
And
that's legit. You can get that because, like, I'm not Bob Wells. I'm not going to say that everybody else can do this. I'm not saying that at all because it's not. It's just like me coming out and saying, "What the hell are you bitching about? Everybody can be a mechanic. Fix your own shit." Well, that's not going to happen. Not everybody can be a mechanic. There's a lot that think they are, but they're not.
that's right. I've had people tell me it used to be one of my favorite deals. I'd be working on something, and they'd bring something in they need to get fixed. And hello, Janice. Yeah, I snuck up on you, didn't I, girl? They'd come in there and say, "Oh, I used to weld. I could weld. I can do this and I can do that." And my favorite deal is I just turn around, hand the hood and the welder to them, and turn around and walk off.
Yeah.
And they stand there like, well, if you can do it, dude, why in the hell are you in here bothering me?
Like that's the thing. Like everybody, like, well, yeah, you're a mechanic, you're a welder, you're doing all this. Yeah, yeah, right. Well, you can weld this. No, if it's a pressure, if it's a something that has to be welded that needs pressure or a thing, you take it to a goddamn welder. That's they know. They know what has to be welded. You have to know when to say no. And oh yeah, but welding's welding. What the hell? No, it's not. It's when anything I need that needs pressure or stress, I take it to a welder. They know.
Yeah, and it's just like you and the diesel. So you can tear them diesels down in your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'd be lost on one. I'd be looking for manuals and people to talk to.
You know, like a funny thing is, well, it's not funny, really. Well, yeah, it is. It's like the Patty bought that old motorhome, that '77 Ford. Well, Jesus, where are you going to take that to get it fixed? Well, fix it myself.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know anything about that? Well, I think I was a kid and I learned. That's how I learned, you know. And I don't know. I never like you fix stuff on that thing and don't even think about it. That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem I have now is that fixing stuff. I fix stuff and I don't even think about it. And people ask me, well, how do you do that? Well, you have to sit there and think, well, how do you do it? Because you don't even think about it, right? Like that's why I got out of rebuilding engines for a long time is because the worst thing is that I never ever had an issue, but I could never remember if I torqued the rods or torqued the mains or torqued the head on or nothing. And that's why a couple of years ago I started marking everything with paint pen. So I knew that I did an international about 15 years ago. I had the oil pan off the thing 3 times because I couldn't. Did I torque that or did I torque? Because you don't even think about it. It's just like, okay, Ron, you just did a weld on a tank for 3 feet. How many rods you use? I don't know. I just keep putting them in. The same thing, you know.
The only place I ever had to answer that question was I did a bunch of work for a prison system. And you had to count your welding rods when you went in and count them when you come out. The,
Yeah.
stu- the stubs you burned and the I had a good background to get into fixing stuff. My grandfather and my great grandfather built their first welding machine out of an airplane generator before you could buy one. And
Well,
my
so you had to do though.
the my grandfather stayed in it for 50 years. My great grandfather stayed in it for about 20 years. My dad stayed in it for 60 years. I stayed in it for about 50 years. And
I don't
it
know if anybody knew it, but the 200 Lincoln welder didn't exist around 1900.
no. Well, I've met the salesman. Well, let me back up. My dad bought from Big Three Welding, which owned Lincoln Welders.
Mm-hmm.
They were the ones that owned it, and they're the one that piped the liquid oxygen to Cape Canaveral and all this. And I know all three of them guys that own Big Three, and they just as common as me and you are. But they come up from selling welding supplies to being one of the biggest welding companies in the world.
Yeah.
And
Well, you take like you were in the industry, like acetylene generator. What the fuck is that? But that was a big thing. That's how they made acetylene. But nobody knew. Like nobody knows what it is.
I still got one of them.
My dad had one.
I got one. I just sitting back in the corner. My I got a 3-phase welding machine. They call them a bullet. And my dad went in and put a flat belt pulley on the end of it. Well, before that, they had an old Model A, and they would pull it in the shop and jack it up, take the tire off, and just put a wheel back on it. and then all the grinders and everything in the shop would run off a shaft in the ceiling, and they powered it with that Model 8. And
Yeah.
then after a while, they took that 3-phase welding machine, put a belt on. I still got that welder. It
Yeah.
it was back in the 30s, I guess.
Yeah,
But
but you look at like there's a thing.
you
You know,
adjusted that welder badge. It had a knife switch, and you went into the first set of contacts, and the next set, and the next set, and that's the way you adjusted the heat on the thing.
yeah.
You picked a.
No,
uh,
it's kind of amazing because it was kind of fun. Well, it wasn't funny, but it's just how far things have come. Arvid Mill in outside London, Ontario. They've been making grain for, it's a flour mill. They've been around for over 150 years. And so some smartass in the OH&S decided to come in and see if it was all safety. Well, now this is made 150 years ago. So there was no safety things. Well, you can't operate it. Well, it ran for 150 years that way. What's the big issue? But no, you have to have all the cages and all that crap now. But they got around it because it was a historical site, right? And they didn't have cages. But that was the thing. Like back in them days, you rub two brain cells together, don't get close to that bell. They could eat you. But you can't do that nowadays because
no.
unless you got a cage that somebody can bounce up against. Oh yeah, lucky that cage saved me.
When OSHA got real big here in the United States, there were a lot of the big machinery that was out there. You couldn't even use it because
Mm-hmm.
of the specs they put, and nobody got hurt on it in 20 years.
No.
But they knew that thing could bite you, so they stayed away from it. You put all the safeties on it, and then they start taking it for granted.
Mm-hmm. That's it. But
So,
yeah, it's kind of sad, because I forget where I heard it, but somebody was saying that the kids nowadays, because all they remember is, when I was a kid, I used to walk 5 miles to school. But that was just one part of it. Like, well, I was going to weld my fender on my car. So I had to jack it up, take the tire off, put a rim on, put the belt on so that it would run the motor. And then I would run it, and then I'd weld the fender, and then put the wheel back on it, and then I could drive away. But now, if you don't just go in, plug it in, turn it on, and weld this, they won't do it.
yeah. Yeah, well, Janice, I was a pipe welder. I had all certifications on that. And I never would join the union because when the union first come out, it was needed. But then it got to the point to where you get some kid come in there that had $1,500 or $2,000 in his pocket, and he could wind up with a card, wouldn't have to go through apprenticeships or nothing. It just got to be all about money, like a lot of other things are. And that's the reason I never would join it. And I worked with a lot of union guys. In fact, I worked several jobs that were union jobs. I wasn't union, and the union guys were hiding me to keep me from getting booted off a job because I weighed about 170, I guess. But if I could get my head in through something, I could get back in there and do it. Well, a lot of them old boys were like us. They, had a little bit of gut on them and that kind of stuff. And they couldn't get in there and weld that stuff up in them tight spots. I go in there and cover for them. So I never
Mm-hmm.
did get kicked off one of them union jobs. The guys that were union would hide me and keep me there to do them rough spots.
Where the hell's Bree? I thought Bree was coming up. Where the hell is she?
I was just teasing her about coming up, but she said she had a phone call or something.
Oh, crap. Excuses. But you know, the funny part about it is now that you think about the way everything's gone, and now everybody is a specialist of a specialist, right? So, you know, you could be a tire guy or an engine guy or a caterpillar guy or whatever. Well, when we grew up, we were all them people. So it was back in, what was it, 89 or 90 in Ryder, come to Canada and see down here you have ASA, ASE, and see in Canada we don't. We have an apprenticeship program where you go for 4 years, you come out, you're a licensed mechanic. Not like this ASE where you do a, I want to be a carburetor guy or a front end guy or a brake guy or a transmission guy. We were all of it, right? So they came into Canada and they said, well, we have to have ASA qualified people. I said, sure. What do you want to do? Well, you have to write the test. Okay. So we need to know what tests you want to write. So I looked at the page and there was 11 categories there. I said, I'll write them all. Well, do you know them all? I said, yeah. We're Canadian mechanics. We know all that stuff. Yeah, we'll do them all. Well, that'll be like $2,200. No, that'll be $4,400 because I got 2 tickets, one for gas and one for diesel. Oh, we're not going to pay that much then. I said, well, then you don't want ASE mechanics then. You just use Canadian ones. So yeah, they wouldn't pay. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
They just, you know, they thought that you would go and do one, right? But yeah, it's just.
Yeah. Well, we've been on here about an hour and a half. It's about time to shut this thing down.
I think so. You were on early. That's why I come up. I said, holy shit, Ron's on early. So I thought I'd come and antagonize you for a while and, you know, poke the bear. And
me and you get together at Lollapalooza. I ain't.
yeah, once I was having supper and my phone's going nuts. And I said, what the hell's that? It's not a phone. So I go and here's Carolyn. You know, you got to make sure that you get your campground by the end of May. I says, yes, I know, Carolyn. I'll get it. I'll honestly will get, because I know it's going to sell out. Yes, it does. It sells out every year. I know that. I said, I'll just stay in the overflow. Well, they don't have an overflow. Ooh, that's going to make it really difficult, eh? So, yeah. So, but says, you know, even if you don't come, you know, you only have to pay a little bit to cancel your thing. I said, no, we're Canadian. What's that got to do with it? I said, they don't charge us. If we're Canadian, they don't charge us because we have to go across a border. So if you have to go across a border, they usually won't penalize you for that. Oh, that's kind of nice. I says, well, yeah, but you want to go, right? So, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, is it going to be the same place?
Yeah, Abilene State Park, I guess.
Abilene, okay.
I haven't been to Abilene. I was at the other one, one in 19 at, what the hell was the name of that place, huh? I can't remember now. The one out by McKinney.
Yeah, I know where you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of it either. I was there
Cactus
that year.
something or Coke Cactus something, or the one the Blind Views came to. That was the last one.
Yeah, that was the year I was up there when Blind Views came.
Yeah, cruising around on your bike.
Yeah. Oh, you talk about hurting a pocketbook now. No, that old Harley I've got with that sidecar on it, I decided I was going to get it painted because I've been through the bike. It's just like brand new. $4,000 to paint that motorcycle.
That's a lot of paint. Paint's going right nuts. We got to paint our trailer, and I don't know how the hell I'm going to do it. I'm not paying somebody to do it, that's for sure. I think I'll just do the old trim clad roller over with the roller. I won't go for that one, but it sounds good though.
They said that paint was going to cost over $1,000.
Oh yeah,
and that
paint's expensive.
You got a tank and a fender, 2 fenders, and a tank and a fairing.
Yeah,
$4,000, and that was the cheapest one. Okay, let's get off here. Badge, I enjoyed it.
Okay, buddy. It's been a
Yeah,
pleasure talking to you. Okay.
everybody in chat, I appreciate y'all coming in, and we do it again.
Same time, same place, just another time.
Just it'll be in front of the computer wherever it's at.
Okay, buddy.